Greetings, programs, and welcome to another episode of Thumb Wars Presents Blistered Reviews. I'm your host, Sean Cronenfeld, and today we'll be featuring both a full review of a game I've been wanting to cover since it came out in May, but have not been able to squeeze in until now, plus a mini review of a recently released indie title that I suspect has flown under the radar of almost all of you. So strap in and get ready for a double dose of blistering review action. Oh yeah!
I always thought it's hard to make new friends, but making enemies, I guess that's easy. We got 4 problems. We saw their faces. We know their names. Know what they're capable of. They'll find us again. They'll find you and finish the job. Unless you find them first. You always have a plan. And now, you have something more.
Bastion, the first title from indie developer Supergiant Games, was one of my favorite releases of 2011, making it to number 2 on my top 10 list for that year, and it's a game that remains near and dear to my heart even now. So it would be fair to say that I went into the company's follow-up title Transistor with a significant level of anticipation and excitement, and I'm happy to say that the game easily matched my expectations, even if it did not quite reach the same heights achieved by its predecessor. The good. Gameplay, story, New Game Plus, graphics, audio. The bad. Linear, short. The ugly. The wait until whatever Supergiant has in store for us next is going to be as ugly as it gets. Transistor revolves around a woman named Red, who is a famous singer in the futuristic city known as Cloudbank. As the game opens, Red has just barely survived an assassination attempt that has left her mute but in possession of a massive sword-like weapon known as the Transistor. Among its many abilities, the Transistor can absorb the memories and voices of those it kills, and indeed one such man, who ends up playing the role of narrator over the course of the game, has become trapped inside the blade by the time it comes into Red's possession. This has allowed him to survive, but has also cost him his memories, and so it is the 2 lost souls set out for the heart of Cloudbank in order to find the answers they need. But along the way, they'll have to survive constant attacks from the mysterious machine-like process that dog their every step. At its core, Transistor is a hybrid action strategy RPG that employs an isometric point of view. Players directly control Red, who they can move across the battlefield in real time while using the face buttons to trigger various attacks and abilities that can be equipped to the Transistor. Furthermore, players also have the ability to pause time and plot out the actions they want Red to take in the immediate future as a way of gaining an advantage over the process. The catch is that Red has an action bar that is drained whenever she moves or attacks in the tactical mode, and once it's completely drained, players will be unable to attack or pause time again until it fills. Red will gain experience from defeating foes, and as the game progresses, she'll gain more and more abilities that can be combined to create a wide variety of different attacks and effects. Overall, Transistor's combat system is a robust one that allows for many different types of playstyles depending on how a player chooses to approach battle. There's rarely only one right way to take down enemies, and along with a New Game Plus mode that offers new story revelations, remixed enemy types, and other randomized elements, the game features plenty of replay value. That being said, Transistor is a much more linear experience than Bastion was, and the main campaign is also shorter as well, clocking in at around 3 to 4 hours compared to Bastion's 5 to 6 hour long main campaign. And while the game does have some side activities, the lack of a playable hub to return to does limit things in this regards. These are not necessarily flaws per se, but combined with a story that's more oblique and ambiguous than Bastion, and it makes for a game that, in my opinion, fails to completely match what came before it. Still, by no means does this prevent Transistor from being an amazing title in its own right, and if nothing else, I can honestly say there's no other game on the market right now that's quite like this one. Also, one area where the game absolutely matches its predecessor is in terms of production values, including some of the most gorgeous graphics players are likely to encounter all year, and a soundtrack that is an instant classic and a must-buy in its own right. Further helping the game is the return of Logan Cunningham, the voice of the narrator in Bastion, who serves a similar role in Transistor as well. Cunningham's performance is not a simple repeat of Ruck's, and instead he imbues this new character with a personality and life all his own. And once again, Supergiant demonstrates just how effective marrying gameplay to active narration can be in terms of pure storytelling. Ultimately, Transistor is a strong sophomore effort from a developer who continues to stand as one of the best actively working in the indie scene today. Those looking for a memorable and original gaming experience will find few better options than this remarkable and stunning title. Score, 8 out of 10. Awesome. Recommendation, buy it now. Munin comes from first-time indie developer Gojira and publisher Daedalic Entertainment, and is a 2D puzzle platformer with a story revolving around the titular Munin, who in Norse mythology was one of two ravens who served the god Odin and was regularly sent out into the world in order to gather knowledge and secrets. In the game, Munin has been placed under a curse by that eternal mischief maker Loki, and has been transformed into an ordinary mortal girl as a result, and stranded far from home. Bereft of her wings, she must now travel by foot across the 9 realms in order to reach Asgard and be restored to her true self. That's the setup at least, but those desiring a game with a compelling narrative would be best served by looking elsewhere, as Munin features a bare minimum of story in favor of tricky puzzles and platforming. Players are presented with a series of 2D stages, where they'll need to guide Munin to all her feathers scattered across a given level before she can proceed forward. The levels themselves are divided up into a number of tiles that once clicked on will then rotate, and in the process change the environment and potentially open new paths for Munin to travel. Oftentimes, clicking one tile will cause another connected tile or tiles to rotate as well, and tiles cannot be rotated when Munin is standing inside of them. As the game progresses, obstacles in the form of water, lasers, lava, and more will be added to spice things up, with each of the game's 9 worlds featuring its own theme and unique elements. Furthermore, Munin is completely vulnerable to the dangers around her, and flipping a tile can cause a waterfall to change into a river that then sends her off the edge of a cliff, or pour lava directly onto her head, as just 2 examples. Even a single wrong click can send players back to the beginning of a level that could have taken 10 minutes or more to traverse up to that point. Also, some occasional twitchy controls, especially when climbing ladders, can make the timing crucial levels in Munin more exasperating than they otherwise needed to be, and overall, this is not a game for the easily frustrated. Still, the majority of Munin's 81 levels tend to be slower-paced affairs that encourage experimentation and clever thinking, and with a relatively low asking price of $10, Munin is a distinctly humble yet ultimately successful title. Its gameplay won't revolutionize the video game industry, nor will its basic production values win awards, but as far as puzzle platformers go, Munin soars high enough to be a worthwhile experience. Score, 7 out of 10. Good. Recommendation, try it out. And that's going to do it for this episode of Blistered Reviews. Hope to see you back here this Saturday when I'm going to present, among other things, a review of the new Transformers game, and maybe a couple other surprises as time permits. As always, thanks for watching.